Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. I want to talk about how you can get out of a relationship with a narcissist, and I want to start by helping you identify if you're actually in a relationship with a narcissist, because a lot of people use that word kind of carelessly nowadays, and I want to make sure you actually understand what the signs are that you're dating a narcissist, and then what you can do from that point. So, unfortunately, if it turns out to be the case that you're in a relationship with someone who's like definitely a narcissist, like they would get diagnosed, if that's the case, there's really nothing that you can do except leave. Um, so it's it's a little more complicated than that, but ultimately that is what you want to do. I think it's just a matter of figuring out how. So I'll talk about that at the end, but I want to first talk about identifying that you're in a relationship with a narcissist. And this could apply to friends too, because, anybody can have any kind of connection to a narcissist. But one thing that a narcissist will do is they will often try to make you feel like you're the only one who has a problem with them. So they may behave very differently around your friends, or they may try to convince you that your friends and their friend that your mutual friends that they all think that you're crazy for having any kind of issue with this person. When you're arguing with them, you may find that they're telling you that there is no problem, that you're making a mountain out of a molehill. They're basically just trying to make you feel like you're the only issue in the relationship, is that you're making problems that don't really exist. And the truth is that that's rarely the case. Why would someone be making problems that don't really exist? What kind of a relationship is that? And why would you want to be in a relationship anyway with someone who does that? Doesn't make sense. So, um, let's see. There are so many things that these people do. They there are different types of narcissism. There's overt narcissism and covert narcissism. A covert narcissist is a lot harder to identify, but I think they're really both the same. I think it's just a matter of how difficult it is to tell. So I'm going to focus more on covert narcissist tactics. I think an overt narcissist, as the name implies, is pretty easy to identify. You can kind of tell that they are not super empathetic. The scary narcissist is the one who is really good at covering it up and convincing you that you're the problem, or that they're not doing anything, or that there is no problem. And the problem is that they will turn it eventually on you, and they'll use that. If they convince you to doubt yourself, not to trust yourself, which is, I have another video about trusting yourself, which is a whole separate topic. But if they convince you not to trust yourself, they have that power over you. They can pull the your listen to what your friends are saying, and my friends and our mutual friends. They'll try to turn everyone against you, and it'll make you seem paranoid if you say that. So it's it's crazy. I mean, you should be paranoid, because it's terrifying behavior. These people operate completely from a manipulative mentality. I have another video called Understanding Narcissism, which might be helpful for, getting inside the mind of a narcissist. So those other two videos, Trust Yourself and Understanding Narcissism, might be helpful. But um, for the purpose of this video, this is just how to identify that the person is a narcissist. So these are just the things to look for. One thing that a covert narcissist might do, especially in a relationship, and especially if it's a man, they may be very helpful. They may be, ready and willing to just do whatever you need done, drive you places, fix things for you, whatever, pay for things, just be there and make you feel like you can depend on them. And the goal here is to create a false sense of security that they can take away at any time. And they can also hold those things over your head in the future. And they're trying to just establish a situation in which they can depend on you, because that's what a narcissist really wants. Narcissists believe, in short, that the world sort of exists to serve them. They don't think that they have an equal part to play. They don't think that everyone in the world is equal and we all have an equal role to play in taking care of each other and the planet and everything. They kind of think that everything in the world basically is just there for them, and they can just do whatever they want with it. And if it doesn't serve them, they see no purpose for it. So That's a key thing to look out for in the way that these people think and operate. Everything circles back to how it benefits them. If they can't understand how it helps them, or makes them feel like a better person, it literally could not matter less to them. This is not the way they were born. I don't believe anybody's just simply this way. I think it happens as a result of experiences, but post birth experiences. But unfortunately, there's nothing you can really do about it. These people have to come to the conclusion that they have kind of spiraled down a really dark path on their own, and they have to get out of that themselves. You can't pull them out of it, no matter how hard you might want to. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you want to, it's just not going to work. There's nothing you can do. You have to just say, you know what, you're gonna have to come out of this on your own. And a lot of them never do. I mean, the ones that do, it's usually because something really shook them up, like a near-death experience or something. It's very, very rare, and I wouldn't count on it in any situation. But it is always possible. So when you call someone a narcissist, it doesn't accomplish anything. I would not recommend going around using this word a lot. I wouldn't recommend pointing fingers, calling names. The purpose of this is to help you understand if you're in a relationship with one so you can leave, not so that you can talk shit about them and complain about them and play the victim. You don't want to do that. You don't want to give them any more time or attention than it deserves, and you don't want to sink down to their level where you're kind of acting like a victim and like it's a problem because you were treated like a victim. You are definitely the victim in that circumstance, but you can take your power back and leave. You don't want to embrace that mentality. You don't want to embrace the identity of being a victim. So, it's okay to call out people who try to turn you into a victim, people who treat you horribly, but don't just embrace that as your identity and just say, I guess I'm just going to be a victim now. Because that's what narcissists do too. And that's how they feel like the world owes them something, is because they feel like a victim. And that often is a way that they'll kind of continuously convince themselves that they are entitled to compensation from the world, is because the world owes them something. They feel screwed over, they feel inconvenienced, even though they didn't do anything. They didn't contribute anything to the world. They basically have just been taking their whole lives, and then they wonder why they don't have any prosperity. Because every ounce of prosperity they get is stolen. They manipulate it from people. They siphon it. They don't actually earn it. They don't do anything ethically. They're just very, very good at playing games, and that's why you don't want to indulge them further. This is why I said the best solution is to just leave. You don't want to be continuing to engage with someone whose only intention is to siphon away your time and energy, because they're winning in that case. They're getting more of your time and energy just by you fighting back and engaging at all. There is no winning a game with a narcissist, because any game with a narcissist is their game, and just by playing you've already lost. So be very careful. So let me see if there's anything else I want to say to look out for. Obviously, gaslighting is a big thing. And that's another word that I see thrown around kind of carelessly. Again, be careful not to misuse these terms. I think that they start to lose their meaning when you use them too much and in the context that feels kind of inappropriate. Do you know how frustrating it is when you're not gaslighting someone and they call you a gaslighter? It's important to actually understand what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is simply when someone is intentionally trying to distort your perception of reality for their own personal gain. They're trying to make you believe that something that happened didn't happen. Like, you smell gas, and they're convincing you that it's not happening. And they'll go tell everyone else to convince you that there's no gas smell, and you still smell it. It's sort of like that. I believe there was a movie called Gaslighting. I haven't seen it, but that's, I think, where the term originated, and it had something to do with an actual gaslight. So it's interesting because this happens a lot. There are people who will be running schemes behind the scenes, trying to steal from you, trying to make you feel crazy, and it is very dangerous to be in a relationship with someone like this because of how charming and manipulative they can be, whether it's a man or a woman, because these people just know exactly what buttons to push. And sometimes they will even, this is another covert narcissist tactic, they will even study you. They, before going on a date with you, will do as much research as they can to get ahead of things. And they'll try to trick you and be like, oh, that's my favorite color too, or I love that movie. And but they already looked at your social media and they figured out that you love that. You know what I mean? Like, it's creepy. They will study you and research you and try to trick you into thinking that you have things in common that you really don't. It's all just a giant game. So, what you want to look for in a relationship is a genuine, healthy connection. You can have fun together, you're not fighting all the time, you don't feel paranoid about the other person. And if you do, ask yourself, is this just my own fears? Is this just, based on things that have happened to me in the past? Or am I actually picking up on something off that's in the relationship? And you should be able to talk to your partner about this and see how they react. If they get defensive, that's one thing. If they just try to help you and work through it with you, they show that they're supportive of you. They're not trying to tell you that your feelings are invalid. Um, and often it helps too if they seem like they aren't super bothered by it. If they're just like, I don't know, I care about you, I'm here for you. And I wish that you would trust me, but I know that I can't force it to happen, especially if you have traumatic experiences that made it hard to trust people. That alone just makes people feel a little bit at ease because you're not really making them feel like they have to do anything. You're not making them feel like they have to change how they feel. Um, and you're not making them feel like the way they feel is invalid, like they're wrong about you. You're just sort of just there, just assuring them that you care, but you understand that there isn't really a ton that you can do about it. And then that's fine. They know that you're still there, which is all that someone really needs, is to feel trusted, like they can relax and not have to worry about you. So just try to learn the difference between trauma responses and actual fears. I could do a separate video on that, trying to identify the differences between those things, but let's move on. I think I've said enough things to look out for a narcissistic relationship and just in general, someone that you can't trust. So how to leave depends on your situation. If you have kids, if you're married, if there's any kind of legal contract or anything like that, obviously it's a little more complicated. I would recommend that you keep interaction to a minimum, that you talk to your kids, you figure out what would be best for everyone, talk to a lawyer, figure this out without involving the person that you suspect of being a narcissist, and try to keep interaction with that person to a minimum. Don't engage more than you need to. Don't talk to them more than you need to. Don't ask for things from them. Don't push it. Just get away. Take as much as you deserve. Don't just do the easy thing and just give them your stuff in like a divorce just because you don't want to deal with it. Like, you still are entitled to that stuff if it's yours. But don't go overboard with it. Don't ask for more than you're actually entitled to. Just try to keep it as simple as possible while still respecting yourself, and just move forward in whatever way you can. I can't help you with the specifics of a situation like that because it's different for everyone, but in general, just those are the things to keep in mind. If you have no connection, you don't have any kids, you're not married, there's nothing legal, there's no money, you're not waiting for them to pay you or anything. Although, actually, that's a good point. If you are waiting for them to pay you, I would recommend that you find an alternative to get that money, because you should never loan somebody money that you don't know super well. You have to be very careful with your finances. If you ever loan anybody money, just in general, make sure that, yeah, I would recommend loaning people money is generally not a good idea unless you've known them for like a really long time, because loaning money is so risky. I would recommend, if you're going to give anybody money, you just give it to them. Don't tell them to pay you back. Um, Otherwise, don't bother. They can handle it. I mean, you didn't ask for handouts, and if you did, hopefully you actually understood that you weren't entitled to it and you paid the person back at some point. But feeling entitled to money or anything, and anyone who does feel entitled to your money, be very, very careful about that. If you've already given them money and you're waiting for them to pay you back, there's nothing that you can really do there. You just have to trust that the universe will kind of right that wrong. Karma will come into play, because you can't force them to give it back to you, and you have to know you shouldn't have given it to them in the first place. So just walk away at that point. You'll find a way to work it out. But either way, I would recommend that whatever you do, you get away as quickly as possible. Don't even tell them that you're going to break up with them, because that's when they will start trying to manipulate you further. They know that you're going to leave. They felt it. As soon as you decided it, they could pick up on it. They're very, very perceptive. Their whole game is paying hyper attention to every little move that you make. They don't miss a beat. So they know when you're thinking of leaving them. You don't have to tell them, and they know why. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. It's not accidental. It's not a coincidence. You can't be this way and not be aware that you're that way. You know what I mean? It's not possible to be that manipulative and have zero awareness of it. And even if you do, even if you kind of outwardly lie to yourself, some part of you is aware of it. You know what you're doing. So, I would recommend that you just pack up and walk out. Don't say a word, because what happens when you do say a word is they're ready with some excuse why you shouldn't leave. It's a horrible time for me. I just got fired from my job. I'm in a really fragile position. I'm gonna start drinking again. I'm gonna kill myself. All of this bullshit. It's bullshit. Don't buy a word of it. It's always gonna be the worst possible time that you could have left them. And one thing that I also recommend doing is cutting cords with them energetically. If you don't have any spiritual beliefs, that's fine. Just do, the most reasonable alternative of blocking them, cutting off all ties with them, and really sticking to it. But you might find that it's a little hard sometimes to stick to it. They might creep into your thoughts and your dreams, things like this. This is because of energetic cords that you have with them. They think about you, you think about them, and vice versa. The only way to do this is to actually do a cord cutting exercise. And a lot of people don't do that, and then they wonder why they can't get this person out of their heads. That's why. So I would recommend that you take a class called Relationships, Boundaries, and Cord Cutting. I'll put a link to it in the description. That will not only explain in great detail different kinds of relationships, but also it'll teach you a cord cutting exercise that you can use. So, like I said, if you don't believe in it, that's fine. I think this video is still helpful nonetheless. Excuse me, I keep burping a little bit. Anyway, that's about all I want to say. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I appreciate every like, comment, and subscription, and have a great rest of your day or night. I'll see you next week. I post every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time.